Morning fellas, Dave Canterbury with the Pathfinder School. What I wanted to show you this morning is a way to improvise a 100-foot piece of mule tape and your wool blanket to create a hammock. Now this is not a four-season type shelter. You'd have convection issues obviously in the dead of winter like today when it's 12-15 degrees outside, but for a three-season shelter it works fairly well. You could easily string a tarp over the top of that if that was part of your kit. But if you're just carrying the wool blanket in an emergency, you can use this as a pretty good makeshift shelter as long as it's not pouring down rain without the hammock, or without the tarp, excuse me. Fold yourself inside of it and it's pretty warm. This is a queen size blanket. It's 96 by 96. This is the Pathfinder wool blanket by Faribault Mill. And I've tried this setup with smaller wool blankets and it will work with a smaller blanket, but it's a lot smaller because of that, lengthwise and widthwise. I've set this up in a diamond shape on the ground to create this hammock, and I'll show you how to set that up right now. It's a very simple set of knots that I use to do this with. Again, you can use your 100 feet of mule tape cordage and not cut your cordage at all, recover it, which is the most important part, and move on after a night on a scout or whatever the case may be. Stay with me, I'll show you how we set this up. What I want you to see on this is one of the key elements of why this works. There are two sticks here and I have a tail of blanket rolled into these two sticks. Very similar to the way I did the waist strap loom. Again, the importance of learning multiple skills is you can use them other places. So if you look at this, when this blanket's pulled, it's trying to roll back up on itself or get tighter, but you're pulling weight down on it. So you're actually making it tighter this way and it can't roll up. So it doesn't take a whole lot to hold that. I barely have anything in here that I was laying my weight on. I have a half hitch here on this pole and that's it. It's just intertwined. So I've tightened this up just like this around the two sticks. I've come through and interwoven it one time each direction like this in a figure 8, and that's forcing that rolling up. And then all I did was take a half hitch on this side. And that's all I did. But I left a bark on these sticks to get good friction on the blanket and on the mule tape. So what I've done here is I've laid this blanket on the ground in a diamond fashion. So I've got a corner here to work with. Then I took one stick and laid it in and rolled a flap over the top of that stick. Took a second stick and laid it on there like that and just took a couple turns in it, just like that. Then I just kind of scooted it up to expose what I need right there. And then I can take my mule tape and come around here and wrap this in. And again, I'm just going in opposite directions, just like this, so that the whole thing gets pulled up on itself. Then from here I went around the tree up at the top. So now I just come around this side of the tree on the back side, just like this. Lift it up onto the tree as high as I want it. Come around this back side, and again, I need to force this thing to roll the way I want it to. So I go between the two sticks and I look. I want this thing to have to roll up on itself. So I come around here in a figure 8 just like this. Tighten it up where I want it. Figure 8 that thing in there. Just like that. And one half hitch will hold it off. No problem. Just like this. Now you can see when I pull down on it, it's trying to unroll. But it can't unroll because it's under tension. So you're constantly pulling the blanket down against the tension of these ropes, trying to unwrap, but it can't unroll because the ropes are too tight. Then you just give yourself some slack in your line on this other end, go down and tie the other side the same exact way. So once you've come up and done the other side, you're going to have plenty of mule tape left over. And this could then be used, wrapped around the tree and used as a ridge line if you were going to have a tarp, or it could just be left here on the ground and coiled up neatly. But you don't have to cut your rope this way, and you can recover it very easily. It makes a dandy hammock if you want to get up off the ground. So whether you're carrying a wool blanket as your shelter or your cover element in your 5 C's or not, you can still make do and make different shelters with that wool blanket. In this example, we've made a hammock out of simple rope and sticks using our wool blanket. Okay guys, well that was just a quick demonstration on how to make a hammock with your wool blanket. And you can see this is a little higher on the ends, and your wool blanket's going to have a tendency to stretch more than a Silnai hammock would. But I like mine to sit to where when I sit up in the hammock, my feet are comfortably touching the ground as if I were sitting in a chair at a table. That's about the height I like my hammock. To get that with a wool blanket, I need to stretch it out to about chest high. That's how much stretch there is of the wool blanket when I'm sitting on it. The good thing about this is it takes very little material to make it happen. If you're already carrying a wool blanket, you're already carrying some rope or some mule tape with you, all you need is sticks. The knots are nothing fancy. It's wrapped around the tree and friction held. There's no knots there. It's figure-eighted between the sticks and held off with 1/2 hitch on each end. Everything else is held by friction. So it's a very, very simple technique that takes advantage of opposite torque on this wool blanket to make it effective between the sticks and the rope. And it takes less than 5 minutes to set it up. Gives you a comfortable night's sleep, gets you up off the ground. It's a win-win all the way around. I'm Dave Canterbury with the Pathfinder School. I thank you for joining me for this video today. I thank you for everything you do for our school, for our family, and for our business, for all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends. And I'll be back with another video as soon as I can, guys. Thanks.